What's up, guys? It's your boy, Louis Torres, bringing you another episode of Drive By with Louis Torres. So, one of the questions I'm always asked is, why do you have a lot of amps? And for the most part, I run into the same thing that all of you guys do, which is trying to find your tone. So, I eventually started with PV. This is when I started playing again in 2016, right? So I started with PV, then got back into Marshall, then Randall, then Mesa, and then realized, I bought a lot of amps just to find out that my tone, or my favorite tone, is the rectifier and the crazy low-end flub that thing brings to the table, okay? With that, I then realized, I'm able to go ahead and add pedals to it because it sounds terrible by itself. So then, of course, I went on a whole pedal spree and still running into the same. So the reason why I have all these amps is I just felt that every amp, regardless of what I got, it had a little special tone to it that I actually liked. So, keep in mind that I don't just blindly buy amps. I don't. I do a lot of research. So if someone says, hey, you should check out this specific Randall amp, I do a lot of research just to make sure that it's something that I want to use, more so than try out. I feel like if you're going to buy an amp to try out, you're doing your research the complete wrong way, dude. You cannot put the carriage ahead of the horse. But if all you have is a horse, then you need to go ahead and do a lot of research on carriages and see which one fits with your horse. If you're the type of wacko who is like, I need a carriage for my thoroughbred, then I don't know what to tell you. I know some of you guys that are into horses are laughing right now. That's because you wouldn't use a thoroughbred to haul a carriage. So, not that a kid from Brooklyn knows, but an adult who now lives in Saratoga County has learned. So, what do? There are some guys that will buy an amp, because a bunch of other people say that it sounds good and they get it and they hate it. So I try to avoid that as much as possible by literally watching 10, 20, 30 videos. Even if it's an amp and someone's playing, hard rock, I at least want to have an idea of what flavors it has, right? Just to, you want to gauge where it actually is in comparison to other amps out there. So I do a lot of research. So for the most part, if I end up with an amplifier and I don't really use it as much as I thought I would, but keep it, that usually means that I actually like it. And, for certain things, I use certain amps. If I'm going to test a bunch of noise gates, there's almost no point of me using anything but my Paul Reed Smith MT15, because it's literally the noisiest little devil out there. But with that being said, it's great for testing noise gates. If a noise gate is good enough to hold down the fort on an MT15, then dude, that's the best little noise gate ever. So some noise gates have failed miserably because it goes up against the MT15, and those guys that have the PRS Mark Tremonti, you guys know already, that thing's terrible. Noisiest little monster beast craziness ever. So, can I go now? No, because FedEx is gonna T-bone me, but I can go now. So, Um, so what do you end up doing? You know, don't buy an amp and then wonder why you hate it. It's because you didn't really do all the research, you know. And I get guys and they're just like, hey, what do you think about this one versus that one? And I'm just like, yo, it's not up to me. Do some research. See which one you like. You know, I'm not made of money bag. You know, I don't have a ton of money bags just laying around or a money tree. You know, I work my tail off and, you know, I like my money. And with liking my money, I also don't like spending it on just random amps for the heck of it. So I do a lot of research, man, because it sucks getting an amp home and being like, I gotta ship this thing back. There's nothing more frustrating. It's never happened to me, but when guys tell me that that's what they've done numerous times, you know, I can't imagine how stressful that has to be. You know, you buy an amp, you try it for 2 days, you hate it, you ship it back, you get something else, you try it, you hate it, you ship it back again. That just sounds crazy. So why do I have a bunch of amps? Sometimes, I can't even say sometimes. I can't even say that it's because I don't like returning anything. I've just never had any reason to return anything. Every amp that I have has its own flavor. Even the solid states, even my RG303H, you know, the little Heart Attack by Hot Tone, you know, all of those things all sound incredible. They all have their place in our library of gear to use and utilize for different tones, for different times. You know, you're not going to use a Mesa triple rectifier to practice at 3 o'clock in the morning, but you definitely will use a, what the heck's that little thing? The Joyo Zombie, you know, all day long. That little thing is a beast. But of course, you know, you either have to use your headphones or use like a little tiny speaker system. You know, like I have the Randall R8, which is a little 8-inch cabinet, which is cool to play out of. Or just get yourself a really good pair of Sennheiser 280 Pro headphones and just use that. And that's it. Play that at 3 o'clock in the morning so your 5-month-old baby doesn't wake up crying and screaming and your spouse wants to kick you in your face for doing that. So, yeah, dude, so everything has its place. You know, should you have a bunch of different amps? I think everyone should. And listen, you don't have to buy a bunch of Mesas and a bunch of KSRs and a bunch of Randalls. You know, get yourself something small. You know, get yourself your main amp that you feel is your tone and represents you. And then, you know, get something smaller like the Joyo Zombie. You know, that thing is absolutely incredible. So, you know, without question, that is definitely an amp that everyone should have. And then other little things, you know, like get yourself a little PV112. You know, as much as people are like, the 6505 112, you know, it's a one speaker. Dude, I swapped out my Sheffield 12-inch with a Celestion V30. Dude, one of the best decisions I've made with that little amplifier. And you can make all these different changes like that. You know, like my Randall RG 153C, which is the 212 combo. You know, I did the same thing. I swapped out the two 12-inch, I forgot what speakers. They're in my basement somewhere. But I swapped those out for Celestion V30s too. You know, and that sounds absolutely killer. So, you know, if in the end, all you end up doing is having your main amp and a bunch of small ones that, you know, are just killer, a bunch of 20 watts, a bunch of 15-watt little amplifiers that don't cost you $2,000. You know, I bought my EVH 5150 for $500 the first time around, and then sold it, and then bought it again for $500. So, you know, try to find yourself some deals that are like that, because those things make sense to just have in your little arsenal. And if you're like me and you don't really record, dude, just chugging away is just a thrill in of itself. So, should you get a bunch of amps? Absolutely. Just don't go broke and make sure you can make your mortgage payments. So, you don't have any other issues to contend with. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button over here if you haven't subscribed yet. Click on the description below. I'm going to link a bunch of links to, you know, the cables that I use, the little SM57 clone that I use by Pile. You know, all of those, check those out, dude. You know, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get really good tone in your recording. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as usual, I'll talk to you guys soon.